Hello, thanks for tuning in, and today we'll be playing Violent Memoir. This is the newest update to come out, and this will continue Oscar's route. So, we gotta see the newest content for him. My eyes flutter open, and all I can see is an endless deep blue. Water surrounds me as I continue to sink deeper and deeper. There's no question that this is a dream, but something about this one feels different than all the others. It doesn't feel as heavy. There's a calmness to the water that reminds me of swimming with Oscar. Safe, secure, protected. I allow the sensation to flow through me as my body dwells further into the abyss. But before I can completely lose myself in these sensations, I feel warmth in front of me. A familiar blue glow swims towards me with the grace of someone who was born to be in these waters. I'm not surprised to be met with that same ghostly ardor from last night, but just like then, it doesn't show any hostility towards me. It watches me for some amount of time and can't distinguish. Everything feels so hazy here, but it's not suffocating. I feel at peace. Part of that must be because of whoever or whatever is in front of me. It starts to swim around me, fluttering in and out of my vision as I can only call as I can only catch small glimpses of them out of the corner of my eye. Before I can start to fade away again, I feel their paw come to grip my own. I wasn't able to get a good feeling, a sensation when they pulled me out of the water, but this time I can feel just how different this being truly is. The texture feels so gentle that I worry if I try to pull my hand away, it'll go straight through it. It's almost as if the altar is made out of water itself, but somehow alive. Unable to process anything further, all I can focus on is, is the being guiding me through the water. Everything rushes past me as I see light in my peripheral grow closer by the second. All my eyes get to this droop as I watch my Savior guiding me to safety once again. Through my fading vision, they almost remind me of Oscar sometimes. They, he must feel my stare because he turns his gaze towards me and I can only stare into his empty sockets. Within them, all I can see is sadness and longing as we get so close to the light that consumes us. Then all I can feel is my head breaching the surface and my eyes open to a flood of light peeking through my window, nearly blinding me in the process. After recovering, I can't help but feel different today. It felt like so long since I had a real night's sleep, and I hadn't even realized it until now. Despite dreaming of that figure again last night, something about it felt like a regular dream. It was almost pleasant. Is that what Oscar feels like when he's swimming? Speaking of Oscar, I expected him to still be cuddling up against me, but he's nowhere to be seen. I understand that he can be. I understand that he can have a pretty busy schedule, but after everything that happened last night, I'm surprised that he can just disappear like this. Checking my phone, I can see a few messages waiting for me. Most of them are this morning. Messages from my friends, something that makes my heart swell even with all the chaos lately. But a few of them catch my attention. One of them is from Lily, who just wrote a simple but ominous message saying that she discovered something and that we needed to build later. After everything that's happened, I'm not even sure what she could be referring to. The next is from Lex, though this one immediately piqued my interest. I think the Saints numbers. I just hadn't expected him to reach out to me first. If you're dead set on talking to that freak, you might want a copy of the football team schedule. Arrive at practice. Carter keeps people around for a while. You'll get more time. I hadn't even thought of asking him that, but of course he'd know this. He's on the football team as well. His offer to talk to Rolf was tempting, though it doesn't sound like the two have the friendliest relationship. The last message is from the author I've been looking for, and it's the smallest one of the bunch. Just two words, but they're enough to dispel any worry that had slowly been brewing that he might have gotten dragged into another nightmare. Getting breakfast. The growing knot in my chest dissipates as I collapse back in my bed, where there's a possibility that something could happen to him while he's out there by himself, but something tells me that isn't likely to happen. I don't want to acknowledge it, but it's hard to ignore the most common denominator amongst all these nightmares are me. Even a diary, as much as I'd like to use it as a scapegoat, even if even if it wasn't in all of them. What happened? I have no idea what that could mean or imply, but there's not much I can really do about it now. I don't even know for certain if this is about me. Plus, I know if I was the center of all this and I decided to go about it on my own, I bet Lee and Oscar were kicking my ass. It's not like I can even hide it from Oscar either until they can pulled into it again. He said he didn't want to talk about it last night, so that means we're going to have to talk about it today. I know Oscar likes to push this kind of thing to the side and not think about it. But this is too important to let him ignore it. By the time Oscar walks through the door with a large paper bag in his hand, I've already taken a shower and gotten dressed. I almost considered staying naked after everything that happened last night. But there's no reason to try and speed this up just yet. It's important to keep things going at his own pace. And we have more serious matters at hand. Did I do something wrong? You have a pretty hardcore look on your face, man. It's kind of scary. It is? Yeah, it's scary for you. I'll be honest, man. You're not exactly the most intimidating guy. That's not a bad thing, though. You're a straight nigga likes. I know I do. A small glimpse behind the smile, see the sincerity beneath is always enough to set my heart soaring and makes all the struggles worth it. Speaking of struggles, do you want to talk about what happened last night, or did you? Oh, what we did? No, man, that was amazing. Honestly, no, I mean, wait, everything was right. Everything was all right. That too. I had the feeling I misunderstood, but yeah, man, there was a, there were a bit, there were a little bit there where I thought I was going to be too much, but I don't regret for a moment. Keeping our clothes on were a good idea. I think it helped a lot. I'm not sure how much I can do. Just doing that felt pretty great. It takes a moment to reach out, but despite all the progress made, I can see his hand struggle as it places itself on my shoulder. That might be the least effective display I've ever had from him, but with how scarred he's even been to touch me lately, how scared he's even been to touch me lately, this feels like progress. As if he's trying to show he wraps around me until he's pulled me into one of his usual side hugs. He's wearing a cocky smile, but he can't hide his small twizzles on his ears and whiskers. It's hard to not notice all these little things or how much I've been watching him struggle. You don't need to push yourself. I'm comfortable with how things are going. This isn't about pushing myself. I want this, and it might be a little hard but this doesn't feel too bad. It feels like hugging a friend. But this is funny? Yes, sorry. Not saying we're not that. Just that if I start thinking like that, this gets a lot harder. Like I said, don't worry about it. I don't want waiting. I don't mind waiting however long it takes. I will admit, it's nice to feel you again, and I've been really missing all of your hugs. It's all time in bed together not enough for you. No, it's wonderful. I was just meaning that, hey, don't worry. Sorry, I shouldn't tease you like that. I know that you're really just try not to let it bother you, okay? I want to be happy that things are going smoothly as they are, but a part of me is aware that this is possible because also filtering out any negative feelings. There's enough sincerity in his voice that I believe he's being genuine with me. And I know that if there was a problem with it, he likely wouldn't tell me anyway. Or more likely he'd just busting things off. Wait, I almost forgotten. I wanted to talk to you about last night. Do you want to do it after class day? Don't you have classes soon? Oh, well, not really. You know? I figured with all the crap that's going on that you could use some company. So I thought I'd just take the week off from classes except for media, obviously. Are you sure? So you've been missing classes? Something about what I just said must have been extremely funny to him because he burst into laughter. There's no malice in them, but I can still feel my ears growing hot. Man, Ross, babe. He trails off for a moment as I can watch him process the words on his face. Don't even remember what's special about Everwinter. The little reason that a certain grump cutie really enjoys. Oh right, I totally forgot that we didn't have mandatory attendance. Yeah, most of my classes are recorded anyway, so I can just watch them later to catch up. I could easily just take this week off to figure out what's been going on. He squeezes me tightly against him. It's an intimate, it is as intimate of a display as I can expect right now, but I know what that means. I promise I'll protect you, didn't I? There's no words I can muster. All I can do is wrap my arms around him to return the hug, and when he does barely more than a flinch, I know I'm in the clear to continue. We stay like that for several minutes before we separate to different beds. Silence falls between us again, and it doesn't take a genius to figure out why. He's trying to stall as long as he can. Oscar, can we please talk about last night? Do we have to? Can't we just, chill? We can't be serious. This isn't just something we can ignore. And that's our big side, making his discomfort with the topic clear, but we can't just keep doing this. He must have seen that I'm not going to buzz because his shoulders crumple. I know, I just really don't like thinking about stuff like this. This isn't just negative stuff, this was real. We were subject to some kind of drink kidnapped to another dimension or something. I don't know, but it's clear that it isn't good. Are we certain it isn't just a dream? That we share together again? After everything that's happened in the hospital too. Fine, you're right. It's just, I was hoping that it might just blow over and we could just forget all about it. I wish it was that easy, and who knows, maybe it will, if we're lucky, but I think we should still talk about it. Well, what did you want to say? I open my mouth, but nothing comes out. I knew we had to talk about this, but now that I'm here, I don't really know what to say. You don't have any idea what could be going on. I might be able to figure out a lot of things, but this is a little out of my wheelhouse, you know? I thought so. I just wish I knew what was going on. What about you? Any ideas? They've been happening to you for longer, right? Well, I think I might be the cause. It's always happened to me, right? Maybe it's me. I don't think so. Not directly, at least. Huh? Why not? It would make sense, wouldn't it? I mean, you've been having nightmares for a while. Sure, but they weren't like this, right? What do you mean? Like these group ones? They've just been real ones. Well, no, but I had nightmares at that place we went to before. A few times, actually. Yeah, you mentioned, but what if whatever's happening is just using you as a catalyst to do something else, what if I'm the target? I think that would make more sense. What? Why would that make more sense? I can't really explain it. It's just a hunch. I feel like if it was targeting you, why would it bring in others? Wouldn't it have been easier for it to just target you alone? That makes a lot of sense, but now I'm just left feeling more confused than anything. Is whatever happening just using me to get to others? But this just leaves me back at square one and completely not understanding what's going on. Well, why bother stressing about answers we don't know? We still got a lot we still got a lot of deal we still got a lot to deal with on our side, right? Huh? That just makes him laugh and it slices right through the tension that had been steadily growing. What are you trying to figure out? The kind of mystery? It sounded like you were pretty invested in that. Plus, I have a good feeling that's going to tie to everything. It wouldn't keep appearing in a dream otherwise, right? That's why that's another mystery that I can feel like I'm left with little to no answers to. I know that there's clearly something going on, but I have no idea what. Wilf does, but he's not willing to tell me and Oscar. Regardless, I need to check out the diary some more and see if I can find out exactly what's going on. Right, I should just focus on solving what I can first. Exactly, though, if I'm being honest. I just prefer we leave this whole thing alone. Also, I know, it's important to you. And like I said, I'm here for you, man. I'll ride with you all the way into hell, which feels a little more literal nowadays. Sorry, I really shouldn't be dragging you into this. You think you can get rid of me after everything we've been through and how important you are to me? Oscar, what am I supposed to say to that? I think you're supposed to agree that I'm right and then talk about how amazing I am. Well, I do think you're amazing. You're not supposed to say that with sincerity, man. Now I'm the one that's speechless. I think it's true. He doesn't respond this time, but I'm quickly smothered by him as he presses his nose down against the top of my head. There's no kiss or hug, but there's a level of intimacy to it that I'm surprised he's able to do. And when he finally pulls away, I think he's a little shocked as well. There's a slight tremble to him, but otherwise he's looking away. I think I should follow your lead too. This is too important to be just going to class. If this is something as seriously as this, I can't just waste time with schoolwork. I'm not so sure about that. It seemed to help you yesterday, Whatever's going on might get worse when you're stressed, so breaks might be a good idea. Plus, it gives me some time to take a swim. It might be pretty awesome, but I need to clear my head soon, especially with how crazy things are getting. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have assumed you'd spend the entire time with me. Trust me, man, if things weren't as stressful as they are, I'd be so close to you. You'd need to peel me off You need to peel me off here. It's rough. Trust me, man. If things were as stressful as they are, I'd be so close to you, you'd need to peel me off you to breathe. So be E at the end. That's quite the image. Good one though, ain't it? That's a little too much for my inexperienced brain, and I can feel it start to fizzle out. Thankfully, Oscar notices this too. It takes a step back from me, allowing the autumn ear to cool me off. So what do you want to do? I'm not quite sure yet. I have some classes today if I decide to go to them, but there's a lot to do. I don't think I can waste time anymore. If the dreams are getting this intense, then things will likely keep getting worse. I'm not quite sure yet. I have some classes today if I decide to go to them, but there's a lot to do. I don't think I can waste time anymore. If the dreams are getting this intense, then things will likely keep getting worse. I can't argue with that as much as I want to. What do we need to do? I think we need to check out that diary again today. It's definitely involved in some way, though I'm not quite sure how yet. There's no way the pages are tied into this somehow, especially with how much they're appearing. Maybe it's haunted, you know. Maybe with the ghost of Helena or something. I don't really believe in that stuff, but this is a time to believe in that kind of crap. Maybe, honestly, it could be anything. Maybe the diary isn't even involved. It might be using my obsession over it to cause it to manifest in my dreams. Dreams are supposed to focus on what you've been thinking about recently, right? Yeah, I don't pay much attention to my dreams. They're not usually pleasant. Huh? Don't worry about it. It's not important right now. I really wish he could stop busting me off whenever a sensitive topic comes up, but there's other things to focus on right now. I know Lily wants to meet up soon as well. I'm not exactly sure what she's found, but from the fact she seems to have messaged me about this at 3 in the morning, it must be important. Damn, she's been busy. I sent her a message telling me we tell her when she'd wanna be up and there's a good time, especially because it fits in with the very thing I need to do today. Sounds like the gang is getting together again. Actually, you'll need to stay back for this. Whoa, I wasn't expecting that. Should I be concerned? I want to say no, but I'm not quite sure. I'm going to see Wilf and try to get some answers out of him. I don't know what he wants, but I think he'll be receptive if I confront him. If I confront him without you. So he's doing what he said. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but I'm not sure he'll buzz if you haven't already figured it out. He doesn't seem like the type of guy to just give us secrets if it doesn't benefit him. Maybe not, but it's my best lead, isn't it? Outside of diary, but if it's a secret that Conrad couldn't even tell Nathan that, there's a good chance he wasn't able to tell Helena too. Unless he figured it out, but I doubt it. Not saying she wasn't smart. I don't really know her. I just feel like it would make more sense if it was something he was being extremely cautious about. But Wallace, I think you're overlooking an important part of why Helena might have found out from him. Maybe it was something to do with her. You think? Just a hunch. Just a poor guy and over his head, if I had to guess. Now I'm really confused, but Oscar doesn't look like he's going to elaborate, so it's probably best that I move on. My plan is to meet up with her and then head over to the football field. One of her classes finishes a little bit before then. That should be enough time to find out what she's found before finding Ralph. Well, if you're set on doing that, it sounds like I can't change your mind. That'll be a good time for me to get a swim in, I suppose. I could really use a dip today. But if you're going to hit up Wolf again, maybe ask Rex for a plan. I actually already thought of that. He told me that I should talk to the team captain first. It seems like he might be able to help. I might even get some information out of him, though I doubt he knows the secret. That Wolf we met when we first went there, right? Real hot guy. Too bad he's straight. I know the guys out there might be staring at him, though there's a lot of options out there. Must be a lot of drama. You know he's straight? Good gator, man. We've had as much hookups as I have. You figure this sort of stuff out pretty fast. How do you think I knew to flirt? How do you think I knew to flirt with you so fast? I wouldn't just flirt with any old straight guy, at least not as much as I did with you. Well, I wish I had that. Yeah, you have something way harder. You're like a gay man. Honestly, I think if you put yourself out there more, you might have gotten a higher body count than me. We're getting off track. I think I might give the diver a read before doing anything else. I want to see if I can find out exactly when things between her and Conrad got mad. That's the first I'm hearing of this. You think things go bad between them? You think so too? No, I agree, man. I just didn't think you'd have thought that too, since you have a pretty optimistic perspective, you know? Well, it had to go bad at some point, right? For what I've seen during the first late entries I've read, Helena seems pretty distraught, and I have a feeling that she wasn't on good terms with Conrad if he wasn't there supporting her. I don't disagree. I think he's a pretty decent guy. But I'm not sure things were as solid as you think they were. I mean, they'd only been dating for a couple of months, and from the looks of it, there was some stuff going on with them too. Are they secret keeping? Amongst other things, yeah, just if things were as bad as you think, I don't know. Something just doesn't feel quite right. Also, it's being oddly evasive about something and not in the usual way. Normally, he just shuts down or completely diverts the conversation somewhere else. But this time, he looks genuinely uncomfortable about something, and I can only guess it's about that hunch he keeps saying he has. I know asking about it is a waste of time, so I'll go to the next best source. Well, we'll never find any answers if we don't read it. The diary has got to have something, right? Maybe. Wait, I know I should probably ask before we get into this, but do you have classes soon? Yeah, I usually have one around 10, but I think I should avoid that one. It'll make meeting up with Lily before heading over to the football field easier. I can't argue with that as much as I want to. I've never seen you so argumentative. It's not a bad look, just surprising. It ain't a serious discussion. What can I say? You make it easy to talk. I think Lucas will argue that you talk too much. He should see me really going. I usually hold back around him. With a final bump on my shoulder, another brief but welcome moment of intimacy from Oscar, I start prepping to read the diary. We settle with lying on the bed while we read. It's a bigger space, and I don't think either of us want to try crowding around the desk. If Oscar felt a little more comfortable, I have a feeling he would have just put me on his lap while I read, but he stayed at a comfortable distance to my side. There isn't any need to mess around and try to read through the book page by page. We're on a hunt for specific information. I want to know exactly what went wrong. It isn't long before I get far enough into the book that the intact pages start getting rapidly outnumbered by the torn remnants of whatever Helena must have whipped out. I do find a specific point where the tone starts to shift, but there's little there I can actually make out other than Helena seeming to be worried about her mother. Scanning the pages for Conrad or Quentin's name, I finally managed to catch something, though it's a little later than I expected. I can't believe he did that. Who does that to someone? I can understand wanting acceptance, but this is just awful. Her scribbling is furious, and it looks like she took several tries just to put anything more than incomprehensible rambling down. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, Mom. You're not returning any of my calls. And who am I supposed to go to? Mercy's still avoiding me like I got the plague, and who else am I supposed to get in contact with? So I just crawl back to Conrad after all that shit he did? Huh? Wait, that's strange. What do you mean? What happened with Mercy? Did I miss something? I try to look back numerous pages, but I can't find anything to do with her outside of some mild complaining about her ignoring her, though it never quite feels like there's truly something that is truly showing how she feels. It's like she's trying to deny how much there is. It's like she's trying to deny how much this is hurting her. The first proper mix of mercy I come across is so far back that the torn pages have calmed down and it doesn't look like anything's wrong at all. She mentions getting into a mild argument over Conrad because Mercy doesn't seem to trust him. That means that something must have happened between her and Mercy in between now and things going wrong. It doesn't even seem like either of these are the catalyst for what's causing Helena to get so hysteric in the first place. Flipping back to where we were, I double checked to make sure I read it right. It truly seems like whatever is going on with her mother is a true case of everything, and these are just other disconnected events. Hey man, I'm keeping up pretty alright, but when you go all silent and start flipping pages back and forth, it gets a little difficult to figure out what you're thinking. Sorry, look here. It says that Helena's worried about her mother. From the look of some of the entries before, it seems like this might be the reason she's so stressed out. Okay, that makes sense, but what about it? I'm not done. Look here. She mentions that Mercy isn't talking to her anymore, and there's a few entries earlier complaining about her ignoring her, and they seem pretty aggressive. I'm following, but I'm not quite sure where you're going at yet, man. I'm following, but I'm not quite sure where you're going. I'm following, but I'm not quite sure where you're going yet, man. What I'm saying is, I think there a lot more going on here than I thought. I thought there might have been just one singular thing that caused Helena to start acting up, but I think it might be much worse than that. It looks like three separate things all went wrong around this time. I don't mean to rain on your parade, man, because I think you're right, but I don't think this is a surprise. Huh? What? Listen, even if the media made up a whole narrative about Helena from what we've seen about her, she's got pretty fucked up, man. And I don't mean that lightly. You don't get like that over one fight, especially something With your boyfriend. Enough bad things in the world can cause anyone to end up in a bad place. An addict flashes in my mind, and I can't help but wonder if that was the same for him, too. Were there so many things that I didn't see back then that caused things to end so badly? I shake my head, forcing those thoughts out of them as I focus on what I can solve right now. Even if the nagging feeling never truly leaves and it feels like there's a damp sensation running down my back. Austin doesn't push the topic any further, but I notice he moves a little closer to me. If I could have my way, I have him. Austin doesn't push the subject. Austin doesn't push the topic any further, though. I notice he moves a little closer to me. If I could have my way, I'd have him completely envelop me like he did during the hospital nightmare. It truly felt like nothing could hurt me while I was there. No ghost or tidal wave would be after to would be after to catch up with Oscar. But he stops just close enough that I can feel the heat coming off of him. It isn't much, but it helps quell the anxiety bubbling within me. I return back to the entry I found about Conrad, but she doesn't go into any further detail about what happened, but there must be some mention of it in there. But flipping forward a few pages only reveals more ripped pages and absolutely no answers. Not wanting to give up, I try going further, but between all of her destruction is only aimless venting. By the time I return once again to initial Conrad entry, I already feel the hope giving way to frustration. No warmth is able to subdue it. It might be better for me to just give up, but all I can imagine is the distant look Nathan had when he talked about Conrad. It wasn't like he was hurt, not anymore. He looked almost numb, like he was dulling everything to protect himself from the pain, and I can't stand to leave him like that. I just wish that we knew what happened between them. I say it in my mind like a silent prayer because I start to close the diary. Except when I do, what looks to be a folded piece of parchment sticks itself out of the bottom of the book. Reopening it reveals that it seems to be wedged only a few pages earlier. I must have missed it during my search, though I'm surprised I didn't catch something so obvious. I wasn't open it and I'm greeted by the words I've been wanting to see for so long, and I can feel my heart start to race and that damp sensation on my back thicken. I can't believe she was right. Conrad wasn't who we thought he was. Well, who I thought he was, because apparently I'm the only one who was left in the dark. This is it. I think this finally has the... In my excitement, I nearly tossed a piece of paper across the room, but I managed to feel myself steady. However, I didn't account for a gust of wind, chillier than anything I've ever felt during the autumn, come rushing through the window. Like a spectral thief, it scoops up the paper out of my hands in a moment. It almost feels like it's yanked down my loosened grip. Both of us can only watch and sock as it slides across the floor and on and out beyond the door. Oh crap. He still kept that window closed and... Wait. Not able to think of anything but the possibility of losing these answers I've been hunting for causes my body to lurch before my mind can even process everything. I'm off the bed and running across the room. I can hear the thunderous steps of Oscar right behind me. I think I can hear him telling me something as I reach the door, but I'm already pushing through it. For a second, I can see the paper flittering through the air, and I take a step towards it, only for where there should be the floor, my feet continue to drop until they encounter a chill. I'm not able to process anything as I'm plunged into water. For a moment, I thought it might be like that, when I dive into the pool and that I would wake up any moment now. But there's something here that doesn't feel the same. There's a current I can feel pulling me along, and more important, I can see the glimpse of light that I must have fallen through. It keeps getting close until I'm thrusting myself back through into the hallway. Except it isn't the correct hallway, and I already know where I am the moment I catch a glimpse of my surroundings. Deep down, a part of me felt like this was going to happen, but the rest of me held out hope that it wouldn't. That I just had a moment from all of the stress I've been going through, but this is exactly what I feared. It's a cruise ship from a nightmare, but it looks slightly different. Everything's more run down in this area. The paint is peeling off, and rust is starting to show around the creases. It doesn't feel as inviting as it had the first few times, and something about the atmosphere. Everything is more run down in this area. The paint is peeling off, and rust is starting to show around the creases. It doesn't feel as inviting as it had the first few times, and something about the atmosphere feels heavier. I hope after my lack of a nightmare last night that maybe things were finally beginning to calm down, as if we just went through the worst and the storm was passing, but something tells me things have gotten much, much worse. Last night wasn't the finale, it was just opening the floodgates. Not wanting to wait around for anything more to go wrong, I start to wade my way through the water, which comes up to my knees. I don't know how I also managed to rush through this time while carrying me through the hospital. I'm barely a few feet before I'm panting. And back then, it went all well. And back then, it went all the way up to his waist. I can't let myself end up in a situation like that. If I need to start swimming and I don't have Oscar or even that blue spirit that seems to be helping us, I don't think I can stop myself from being swept away. As a humble ever I need to escape this nightmare, dimension, whatever this place is, all I can think about is my arrival in this place. It feels so different from the rest. Despite how sudden all through of the times I've been brought here to, there were something strange leading up to them beforehand, almost like a warning. Even the atmosphere, or even a nightmare I had on the third day of class before everything with the hospital and cruise ship. There's always been something that made my hair stand on end. All the previous time, there were some strange sounds before it happened. The phone message, the car horn, and even the waves in the shower. All of them sent a chilling wave through him. It was like a warning of the danger coming. But there hadn't been anything like that this time. One moment I was walking into the hallway, and then I wasn't. Is Oscar here as well? If last night is any indication, I have to assume he is, and I need to find him. I just can't get the sinking feeling that this is a sign of something else to come. The other times had a level of build up to them, but could this just happen to them whenever now? Is this going to affect the others? By the time I'm able to focus on what's going on around me, I've nearly broken into a run. I've nearly broken into a run, trying to hurry up and find Oscar at least as fast as I can through the thigh-high water. It takes a minute before it truly registers, but it doesn't take me long to realize that the water is slowly rising. This isn't like the hospital where it was a quick rush. This time was a slow climb. Before I had the luxury of time to trudge my way to find Oscar, but now I need to hurry up and find him before we find out how realistic these nightmares truly are. There's one thing for certain though, there's no way this doesn't have to do with the diary in some way. I've been looking for excuses to not believe something so strange, but it seems to be true. I don't know why last night happened, but all the other times has been after reading the diary, and with all the pages scattered about, there's no way it's not connected. It must be haunted or some other supernatural answer I don't know. And there's too many answers I don't know. Why the diary relates to something like this, I could potentially come up with reasons why the diary might connect to the hospital or that twisted school. But what connection is there between Helena and the cruise ship? There hasn't been any mention of one in any of the entries, and it doesn't seem like her mother frequents them either, with how much emphasis Helena places on her being a homebody. There's one good thing to come from all this. There's no way that the page that fly away from them is the answer to get away from here, though it was never the reason why he got out of the others. It was always the moment right before everything got awful. My thought process is interrupted as I walk into what seems to be an interconnecting area of the ship. Hallways spray out in each direction, and there's a stairwell that looks to lead both up and down. Not wanting to stay on this floor for longer than necessary, I approach the stairs only to see just how flooded they really are. The entire lower area of the stairwell is completely flooded, and the murkiness of the water stops me from seeing what's down there. Just the thought of being trapped down there sends a shiver down my spine. I never had to truly consider drowning until now, and it's something I never want to think of again. Suddenly, unable to stand the water around my waist, I climb up the step to the next floor. For all I know, the Page or Oscar might be somewhere on this floor, but there isn't going to be much I can do if I stay in the flooded hallway. It wouldn't have been long before I couldn't stand any longer, and I needed to be saved. The change in the floor is immediately noticeable. I didn't notice just how freezing the previous floor was and how much my body had been shivering, but the air is much warmer here. But the biggest chance is this floor looks significantly more presentable than where I've been. Despite hoping that I completely escaped the rushing water for now, that must have been a foolish dream, because somehow this area looks worse. The floor isn't flooding yet, but the amount of water running down the walls is more than concerning. Some areas almost look like it's beginning to dent in some areas of the walls, as if the water pressure is crushing whatever we're in. Are we fully submerged in water? I'm not paying attention to any of that. I'm focused on the floating figure standing in the middle of the room, staring at me like it's been waiting for my arrival. There's no excitement in its form, just cold ambivalence. But just like before, there doesn't seem to be any hostility, and it almost looks sad to see me. But maybe I'm projecting. You're here to help us, right? But the figure didn't answer. Not that I expected it to, but it would have been nice to find something certain around here. I have to trust in something though. Can you help me find a way out? They circle around me for a moment, but it doesn't seem like they're trying to find anything in particular. They just seem curious. It would be cute if it wasn't for the horrifying circumstances. With what sounds like an excited bubbling, and swims towards one of the hallways, stopping next to it to wait for me to catch up. I don't waste any time. I've always fully committed to trusting them. As soon as we enter the hallway, I can see the sound of metal bending and water spraying coming from one of the other hallways, but the spirit doesn't look particularly rust. I guess it's to be expected around here. The more we travel down this hallway, the stranger everything feels. It suddenly feels less like a cruise ship, more like a regular building. The opulent carpet and furniture has completely replaced the cold, sanitized linoleum flooring. Despite the sudden change, something tells me that this is the right way, and it isn't just the guiding hand of the spirit. The atmosphere in this place feels suffocating and deeply personal. The spirit stops in front of one of the doors, but I didn't need it to realize this was important. It looked completely different to anything I'd seen in this place. Most of the doors would be what you'd expect, wooden locked doors that stop you from going or seeing what's inside is private. But this one is black, sleek, and having a large window running along the side of it. Peeking through it doesn't seem to help. There's nothing blocking, but for some unknown reason I can't make out what's inside. This doesn't belong here. Thank you for helping me. I don't know exactly what you are, but you've saved me again. Their expression doesn't change, and the only sign of emotion is a simple flick of their tackle, but they look quite satisfied with themselves to me. It feels almost childish, and it's enough to help me break my first real smile since this new nightmare happened. But it doesn't last long, as while I might be safe, that might not be the case for somebody else. Do you know if Oscar's somewhere around here? He's a large otter that's always pulled in with me. I'm cut off by the familiar sound of metal bending, but this time it's much larger and I feel the entire ship start to tilt to the side. Whatever just happened can't be good. That's further supported by the instant change of demeanor from the spirit. They immediately dart to the side, rushing towards the direction of the noise. Not thinking I try to reach out to stop it. I don't know if it's because I'm worried for it or myself, but it doesn't matter as my hand glides right through their tail. It isn't like how I imagine phasing through a ghost would be like, or would feel like. If this creature is a ghost, it isn't like running through nothingness. It feels closer to sliding my hand through jello that hasn't been properly set. Thick and wet, but not enough to put up any kind of resistance for my hand as it completely slides through, leaving no indication that anything happened at all. It does succeed at its job, though, as the spirit stops for a moment, looking back at me in surprise. I'm not sure if it's because I touched it or because I tried to stop it at all. Another groan from the metal knocks the creature out of his daze, and after one final glance in my direction, it disappears through in the direction of the noise. The boat floats further, and I have to settle myself to stay on my feet. We'll still upright, but I'm not sure how long that will last for, so I quickly enter the room next to me, hoping that if it is an exit, then Oscar was able to find it too. It isn't a portal back home, but it does feel like I've stepped into a different world completely. I'm gonna stop right here. Alright, so Oscar mentioned right before this dream started that what if these dreams that Wallace is having is because some supernatural force is using him as a target for somebody else. So that made me think, could it have something to do with Oscar himself? Could this spirit might have something to do with Oscar, maybe? Because the experiences in this route for Oscar and Lee are a little bit different. It seemed like in the hospital, they had some, like in Lee's route, there was this construction worker who was like this entity, this construction worker, and in Oscar's route, we were in a cruise ship. Well, we're in the hospital also in Oscar's route, but there was a huge wave of water. So there's some differences between Oscar's route and Lee's route. We haven't even started Lucas's route yet, so maybe once we start Lucas's route, we'll get a better picture. But yeah, I wonder if these incidents may have something to do with Lee and Oscar or somebody they knew, either of them knew in the past. So, about Lee's route and the construction worker. I mean, well, that car crash that killed their father, that happened right after that hospital scene. You know, like in the most recent video I did for it, the father died in a car crash and he was drunk, apparently. So, I don't know, because their father might have been a construction worker or this paranormal entity or supernatural entity might have been mimicking Lee's father, I guess. I don't know. And could this spirit here in Oscar's route be somebody Oscar knew? I will have to find out eventually. Probably won't be the next year that till I start Lucas's route. So I want to stop here because there's some information about Helena that's about to be revealed. And the reason for it is something I figured all along about Conrad. But you'll know about why Helena got angry. So, why she gets angry at Conrad. So, you'll find out about that next time. So, thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.